portions of lower Montgomery County, so we want to watch that. If you're in that area, you'll see the wind pick up, and we've seen damage from these tornadoes. And the latest radar shows that the heaviest rain going through Newcastle County, that's most likely with that warning. Another heavier shower there through Philadelphia. And all of this coming in from west to southeast to northwest. There's a heavier shower through Wilmington, this area under the tornado warning, and Philadelphia also under the tornado warning. So as the warnings are issued, well, they pop up right on screen, and you can see that the radar has been tracking all of these. And there's the last look at the tornado warnings that are in effect. Of course, as more come in, we'll tell you about them, but pretty much everywhere. Seeing wind gusts now over 50 miles an hour. And with tornado, well, sure, that could be higher wind gusts associated with that.
Okay, Dave, thank you very much. Now let's talk once again to Delaware Governor Jack Markell and get the latest on the situation in Delaware. Governor, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right, what's the latest report you're getting from your emergency management people?
Well, we had the one confirmed tornado down in Lewis. We've got reports of 4 or 5 others up and down the state that is not yet confirmed. We're still not aware of any injuries. We've got trees down all over the place. We've got a lot of erosion in terms of sand at the beach. The bridges are closed. And we've got just lots of wind, lots of flooding, and sort of exactly what had been promised.
Right, and you've been telling people all along to stay off the roads.
Absolutely. And, well, for a while we wanted them on the roads to evacuate. But for the last few hours in Sussex, last couple hours in Kent, and last half an hour in Newcastle, to stay off the road. If you're getting flooded out and you have to evacuate to a shelter, you are exempt from the driving restriction. But otherwise, we want people to try to stay home.
Yeah, good point. Now, in that tornado, we got information that several homes were damaged, and one of them might have been very severely damaged.
Yeah, I did. I talked to the homeowner.
What did they tell you?
Well, he wasn't down there, thank God. He was actually planning on, they had been planning on being there, but then we put the restriction, the mandatory evacuation in, so they didn't go down. I also talked to the next door neighbor who has seen the house. The house was quite badly damaged. The neighbor's house was also damaged, but not as much. And she thought probably another 17 houses or so damaged, but at least based on initial assessment, not as badly as the first one.
What can you tell us the name of the subdivision or the localized area without giving away the exact location?
It's on the Delaware Online website. I just can't remember the name of the streets. Yeah, it's near Nassau, but near Lewis.
And what can you tell us about power outages in your state?
Last I checked, there was 17,000 homes and businesses that were out. That was probably 75 minutes ago. It could be up by now.
All right.
Now, Governor, what's your plan through the night? You're staying up all night and staying in constant touch with your people, and they feed you reports on what's happening?
Yeah, we're in touch. It seems about 3 times a minute. Honestly, I mean that's how fast all this is coming in, and it's just it's incredible. But very concerned about all the folks throughout the state, and certainly concerned about the first responders.
And now, as you know, first thing tomorrow, when the weather breaks, people are going to want to get out there. So what do you advise everybody not to do?
Well, we will give the all-clear sign in terms of lifting the driving restrictions as soon as it's safe to do so. And until then, the driving restrictions stay on.
All right, Governor Jack Markell from Delaware speaking to us live tonight, and we'll be talking to you again because we're going to be on the air all night as well.
All right, listen, thanks a lot.
Talk to you again soon.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Governor.
Bye-bye.
So as the heavy rain continues to fall, flooding is a major concern around our area. In Delaware County, one area that is prone to flooding is near the Darby Creek. NBC 10's Denise Takano is in Darby Borough. Denise, how is it looking there? Bring us up to date.
Well, Tracy, the wind and the rain, they're intensifying tonight. We got to take a look here. I mean, the roads are not really that great right now. We've got the wind blowing. There's a few cars out here on the roads, but the conditions out here are deteriorating. And we just had a number of people out here. I've got to show you this because I know this is not the safest thing to do. But we've got a number of people here that were just sitting out here for hours just watching the storm. This man here, I guess he just, his 9-year-old nephew, thank goodness, is now in a truck and I think getting ready to go home. But hey, let me talk to you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I gotta ask you, what do you think? Just sitting out here and in the storm, it's not the safest thing to do. I don't think people would recommend it.
It's probably not the safest thing, but you know what?
Oh my God, what an idiot!
Nature, I'm here to have a good time.
How long do you plan to stay out here?
I'm gonna sit here until I know when I get away. If them waters come up past this pawn shop, I'm going to get away.
You're actually going to wait for the Darby Creek to overflow its banks and start coming up the road?
He has a 9-year-old with him.
For years. I'm not worried about it.
He has a 9-year-old with him.
I was with my family and going, but we're fine here.
He's fucked up.
Get past this building right here, they won't get
fucking
past
dummy.
There. We're fine. 15 inches, what is that? Come on. It's really nothing to be concerned about. If you're in Darby and these lower areas, get out.
Nothing to be concerned about.
You're fine. There is nothing really to be concerned about around here.
Well,
nothing to be concerned about? Yeah, you're fucking Superman.
With you, sir, but there are a lot of people out here that have been told to evacuate. Now, Matt here lives more uphill, so he's not worried about the flooding per se, but there's a lot of people that are here around McDade and Chester Pike that have been flooded out time and time again back last year and back in 1999 during Hurricane Floyd. So people are, for the most part, taking precautions. Other people, like you just saw, are taking risks out here, and some say would be unnecessary, but, you know, I guess everyone, just whatever you decide to do, just be as careful as you can. Back to you guys.
All right, Denise. Well, it is hilly in that area, so at least you could find higher ground if you had to. We'll check back with you again soon. Thank you, Denise.
We need to update you on something that the weather team just got and that just came across our tweets and getting information, that there is confirm this for me, meteorologist, that there is a tornado warning in the Roxborough-Manayunk area of the city of Philadelphia, correct?
Oh my fucking God.
Based on radar again.
Based on radar, an emergency alert.
Well, explain to us in a little more detail what that means, because a lot of people may have the impression that if it's a warning, it's been spotted, but that's not the case. And I'm asking this because I want to help assure people and make people feel calm, because you're saying now in Manayunk. So what does this mean?
Yeah, there are numerous tornado warnings. You can see in the red here on our map. But there are two different ways of having tornado warnings. The first is there's a tornado on the ground, somebody sees it, a trained spotter, law enforcement contacts the weather service, tells them a tornado's on the ground, and then they issue the tornado warning for the area that the storm is moving into. All right, that's kind of the easy, traditional way. But there is also Doppler radar. And Doppler radar not only detects where the rain is, the raindrops, but also the wind in the storm. And we're looking, this is kind of an example, but it's so subtle with the weather around here. It's so much different than the middle of the country, the Tornado Alley. They were looking for winds going toward the radar, is the radar site at Fort Dix. Winds going away from the radar or toward the radar, and then you can see, you know, these colors close to each other.
He's freaking out. He's freaking out.
Imply a rotation. So if you have wind going this way here and wind going this way here, then there's some kind of rotation in there. And then you track which way the storm would be moving to the northwest, and then you plot the tornado warning based on that. And you just have to put out the warning, especially what happened with Lewis, Delaware. We had a similar thing on the radar earlier, you know, way down here, and there actually was damage reported. And so if you see the same kind of circulation in the clouds, I mean, you're not sure that it's going down all the way to the ground and causing damage, but you kind of have to put out the warnings. I mean, I used to work for the National Weather Service in Atlanta. That was in the days before Doppler radar, and we used to be looking for what's known as the hook echo. You could see the shape of the thunderstorm, which would suggest a tornado. But you don't necessarily see hook echoes in this part of the country. It's not a clear-cut thing. These are kind of subtle. But when you were getting this hurricane here, we've got all sorts of winds going from different directions. And sometimes that can lead to the spinning in the clouds. And whether it's going to go all the way to the ground or not, some do, most don't. But we still have to put out the warnings just in case. You know, this is not a 100% sure thing. There's known as a false alarm rate. There's a probability of detection.
I pray to God there aren't
detect 100% of the tornadoes,
like if
but by
I
doing
pray to God
that,
there are no
there are going to be
tornadoes.
some false alarms. And the Weather Service actually calculates the percentage of false alarms over time. And the goal is to try to get as many tornadoes detected as possible with as few false alarms as possible. And tonight is a particularly difficult time because, again, in this part of the country, the indications are generally so subtle.
So we're having a lot of warnings. So clarify for people, because Bill just posted this on my Facebook page. Clarify what somebody's supposed to do and not do during a tornado warning.
All right, well, the first thing you don't do is go to the window to take a look and see if there's one out there. There might be, let's say, transformers bursting, which could potentially be a sign that a tornado has hit power lines. Sometimes that's an indication at night. If you hear any kind of roaring sound, for example, or that kind of transformer, you obviously want to get into the lowest floor that it isn't flooded, by the way. And if it's not in a basement, on your ground floor toward the middle of the house, if possible, in some kind of room that's away from windows. So you want to stay away from windows. If any kind of flying debris comes in, can break the window, and that causes injuries. And so there might be a closet, it might be a bathroom in the house that you want to be ready to go to in case you hear that sound or you see the transformer flash close by. Or if you want to be extra safe, you can go in there, especially if you have a portable radio, for example, and wait until the warning is finished. But we're not talking about the types of tornadoes that you see on the Discovery Channel or on the Weather Channel or in the movie Twister. There's a different kind of tornadoes that happen in this part of the country. They generally are small. They're generally limited in amount of damage, limited in the amount of time that they last, and frankly, it's kind of frustrating as a meteorologist because by the time sometimes you get the word of a tornado warning, the tornado's already lifted back up into the clouds. So it's a whole different animal in this part of the country than in Tornado Alley.
All right, well, I think your explanation hopefully has given comfort to a lot of people who, when we say tornado warning, I think they're used to, the idea that maybe one's been spotted, but that's not always the case.
Now they have a better idea also of what to do, so that's really good. Glenn, thanks.
Well, at this point, at least 5 deaths have been blamed on Hurricane Irene. 3 have occurred in Virginia, 2 in North Carolina. And right now, NBC 10 national correspondent Jay Gray has a look at Irene as she came ashore where he was in Kill Devil Hills in North Carolina.
As Irene ripped across the Outer Banks, a massive storm delivered heavy rains and harsh winds, but not the massive damage or flooding many had feared.
North Carolina, and the reports that we've gotten all night and this morning, is standing strong.
Trees were snapped, power lines pulled down, sand was pushed across the dunes, and the pier in Atlantic Beach was torn away. The storm is being blamed for at least 5 deaths, and as it pushed to the north, the fear of Irene's wrath was still very real for millions.
We anticipate heavy rain, potential flooding, and significant power outages throughout the area of the storm, which means all up and down the eastern seaboard.
Thousands of sandbags were being moved into place in the nation's capital. In Maryland, crews pulled boats from the water while residents rushed to get ready. With the wind picking up, it's clear the storm is anything but fun and games. In fact, concern about Irene has essentially shut down the nation's largest metropolitan area.
This is a storm where if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, it can be fatal.
President Obama was briefed on conditions today by the director of FEMA.
The biggest concern I'm having right now has to do with flooding and power. It sounds like that's going to be an enormous strain on a lot of states, and that may take days, even longer in some cases, depending on what the track of the storm is.
A track that will affect millions as Irene makes its way up the East Coast. Jay Gray, NBC News, Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina.
And now it is making its way into our territory, and we are seeing a lot more reports of damage, a lot more reports of power outages, and what we were just speaking about were the tornado warnings.
And it's been raining steadily now for the past several hours.
We can hear it on our roof.
Right here where we can hear it. Let's check in now with